Today we have a phenomenal guest in Michael Jackson. Michael has taken this phenomenal journey from ground zero to outer space. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Jesse. How are you?
Good. You remember we met on 47th Street way many years ago. Your father brought you and the guys by the office in your station wagon and U-Haul. You were performing at the Regal Theater. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember. It was a long time ago. I was just very little.
What do you remember about that period?
Oh, I remember what we were wearing, kind of like dashikis and bell-bottom pants. And I just remember the love from the public was very great in accepting what we had to offer. And the support from, the people at that time was just beautiful. The black people was fantastic. You were always very kind to us as well.
Good. Did your mom make those outfits?
Yes, she did. She always made all of our clothes. My mother would sew and stitch everything. Everything we wore before really making it at Motown.
I remember so well that Junior Griffin came up with your dad and asked, could you guys be a warm-up act at Expo, and we had to make room for you in our schedule. Then you guys stole the show.
Oh, I remember those shows.
And then
you had a big afro at the time.
Don't remind people of that, Michael. You did so very well. But during that time, you were just getting hooked up with Motown. Who discovered you for Motown?
Well, in complete truth, it was Gladys Knight and a guy named Bobby Taylor. And they were on the bill of some of the shows we were doing. They used to be like, you would do a show and there would be 20 to 30 acts. It was very much like vaudeville. You would do just a certain amount of songs and you would go off. And they were always on these shows and they would watch us. And they were so impressed with what we were doing. And Berry Gordy wasn't interested at first, but eventually he loved us and wanted to sign us. And after being signed, since Diana Ross was their biggest star at the time, they used her as the vehicle to introduce us to the public. The first album was called Diana Ross Present the Jackson 5.
At that time, who were your favorite artists?
Oh, God, I love Diana Ross, and I love James Brown, and I still do. I love all these artists still to this day. I love Jackie Wilson, the real showstoppers, the real entertainers. Did you get Sammy Davis Jr., I loved him as well.
Did you get any of your moves from Jackie Wilson?
Oh, yes, of course. All of these artists inspired me very much. I couldn't help from being inspired by these great entertainers.
A little later, remember we were out in Los Angeles, and at that time, Suzanne DePass was the godmother for the group, and she had you and Fred Siegel shopping for some jeans.
Yes. You remember Suzanne DePass? She was so wonderful. She was pretty much our manager with my father at the time. And Tony Jones. They were all wonderful people, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart,
She was such a wonderful person, and she remains. She's so top-notch in that what she does.
Yes, she is. She was very helpful and instrumental in the early days with our career, and she remains a friend, and I do miss her. I haven't seen her in a while, but she's a wonderful person. So is Berry Gordy.
Michael, in this whole developmental period, I would call it ground zero, like Gary in the Regal Theater and the Expo and the early meeting of Berry Gordy and Motown. As you reflect, what is this period, what about it do you remember the most?
Which period is this now?
This kind of Gary to the Regal Theater to Expo to meeting Gladys Knight to going to Motown. What about this period that stands out the most in your mind?
This period, for me, what stands out is, because I was so young at that, I was like around 8 or 9. I just remember the environment, what it was like, all the music I was hearing, because my father played guitar, my uncle played guitar, and every day they would come over and they would start, playing great music, and we would start to perform to the music. And I remember seeing marching bands go down the street, and I remember the rhythm of the band and the beats of the drum, and every sound around me I seemed to record in my head and start making rhythms and dancing. And I used to dance to the rhythm of the washing machine. If my mother went to the corner store to wash the clothes, I would dance to the rhythm, and people would crowd around. I remember those kind of stories. They would crowd around pretty much and watch me. those kind of little things. It's just reflections, really.
Well, you remember you said that Jackie Wilson and James Brown and Sammy Davis were heroes. Did you ever see them perform?